Hello and welcome to this episode of The Dig. I'm your host Jamie, and I will be talking to you today about outside hitters and the role of the outside hitter on the team. But before we get started, I want to tell you that our sponsor is My Little Athlete. If you need unique volleyball apparel or if you need team gifts this season, please go to www.mylittleathlete.biz and see what we have to offer. Now, let's get started talking about outside hitters. Today's episode is not going to be super long because realistically, we've already talked about what outside hitters do. They pass and they hit. So we talked about the passing a lot in the libero episode, and we talked about the hitting some in the middle episode and the very first episode this season, Why Do I Hit the Ball Out of Bounds All the Time? So we've really covered a lot of the things that the outside hitter does, but now we're going to talk about it as though as its own role on the team. So outside hitters, they pass and they hit, and they pass and they hit, and that is the life of the outside hitter. Typically, your outside hitter is, either one of the most athletic players on the team, or they are just one of your better players on the team. And the reason for that is that they're going to get a ton of touches in the game. They're going to touch the ball all the time. So if you have a typical 3-person serve-receive setup, which I know not everybody does, but it's really common to use 3 people in your serve-receive. A lot of times, those 3 people are 1 libero and 2 outside hitters. So for a lot of teams, 3 of the players passing, 2 of them are outside hitters. And so they're going to get nearly as many reps as the libero is. So you need somebody who can really pass to play outside hitter. As far as hitting goes, they're going to hit more than anyone else on the team. Your outside hitters get the ball way more often than middles and way more often than right sides. So if you are a outside hitter, you're going to be need to be accustomed to hitting the ball and enjoying hitting the ball. The reason they get so many more sets is because bad passes, like if the ball's 15 feet off the net or so, the setter really doesn't have a lot of opportunities to set anyone else and try to score a point. So the setter's only option becomes the outside hitter. And so all the bad passes that are still settable, those are the balls that the outside hitter is going to get. And sure, they're going to get some good in-system ball where the ball is passed right up to the setter and the setter chooses to set them. But it's going to be a lot more common that the ball is from, somewhere else on the court, and they're going to be expected to do something good with a set that is coming from somewhere not too ideal. So those are the primary reasons that you need somebody who's really comfortable touching the ball to be your outside hitters. Now, real quick, I personally think that outside hitters, this is just like me and my own little feelings, I think outside hitters do well when they're the type of player who kind of wants to be the star of the show. I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, I don't mean it like, they're really egotistical. And no, I mean like somebody who's like, yes, like set me the ball. I can't, they're never like, please don't set me the ball. That's kind of what I mean. They're never the person who's like, oh, and please not me. I don't want the ball in any way. Please don't serve at me. Please don't set me. No, your outside hitter, they kind of like that. Really good outside hitters especially, they kind of like that pressure. They kind of like it when there's a crowd and there's people watching because they know they're going to get the ball. And that certainly isn't all outsides. But in my experience, a lot of really good outside hitters, they like knowing that they're going to get the opportunity to score the point a lot of the time. So like I said, we're not going to talk a lot about outside hitters. A few little things, tips for outside hitters. Make sure that when you have to pass and then you go hit, like in the same rotation, that you're really taking care of your pass first. Sometimes as an outside hitter, you might try to rush through the pass because you have to make it over to hit also. Make sure you take care of the pass because without a really good pass, well, you're not going to be able to hit anyway. So take care of the pass. You'll have a lot more time than you think. So take care of the pass. After you've passed, then get ready to go hit. The other thing, make sure that you're getting off the court. And that's actually, if you're playing on a younger team and your setters can't really set the ball very far, well, that doesn't come into effect as much. But definitely as you get older and better and your setters get more consistent, then make sure that you get off the court, so off the left sideline, you know, where you normally start your approach from, go off the court and back off the 10-foot line. So you're out at an angle, and that way the setter can set the ball sort of by the antenna, and you're approaching at an angle to the ball. If you start too far in, you're not going to be able to set up angles and different hits and things like that. So make sure you're getting off the court when you go to hit. Other things, you need to be like really good at defense, because in the front row, you're expected to get tons of tips. The other team will set their outside hitter all the time, and you need to be able to defend the tip and the angle, the hard-driven angle ball. You need to be really good at creating your own shots. So that was one of the questions I got. What are, the various shots for an outside hitter? You can hit line. You can hit angle, which is, basically cross court into the other corner. You can hit a sharp angle, which is at the other team's outside hitter, the other team's front row outside hitter. You can go over the block or through the block if there's a hole into middle back. You can do roll shots and tips. You really need to be super versatile and be able to hit all these different shots if you're an outside hitter, because like I said, you're going to be getting so many sets. If you only can hit an angle shot, well, you better be really good at it, because defenders are going to figure that out, and they're going to know exactly where to go and stand. Because if you get, 6 out of every 10 sets, well, then they learn to read you really quickly. So you need to have a whole bunch of different shots available to you. And then also, don't get discouraged. If you make a couple errors, you have to be able to just jump right back into it, because you're going to get set again, because the setter doesn't have any option. You're the outlet hitter. You're the hitter that they have to go to in times of crisis. So you can't get down on yourself. You have to just try something new. If you keep getting dug, or maybe you hit it out of bounds or whatever, try something else until something starts to fall, because eventually it will. The other team can't cover the entire court all the time. The last question that we'll talk about as an outside hitter, how to deal with balls that are set 10 feet off the net or so, or just off the net. I had somebody telling me they were having a hard time, scoring, and they'd hit it out of bounds a lot on that ball. The reason for that is because if the ball is right next to the net, like in the kill zone where you really like it, you can get up and hit down. The angles all work so that you can jump as high as you can up over the net, and you can hit down. If you're 10 feet off the net, now you can't hit down, because if you hit down from 10 feet off the net, you're going to hit it on your own side, or, at least into the net on your own side. You have to hit it straight. So the ball has to travel 10 feet to the net in a straight line before it can start going down. So the deal is you can't really score if the ball is that far off the net, and you have to be way better at placement at that point. So if the ball is way off the net, you need to, have an idea. If it's really consistently off the net all the time, you should start to figure out who on the other team isn't as good at passing. So maybe it's the back row right side, and you can take an easy swing over at that person and set yourself up to receive another ball back that's a little bit easier. You're really not thinking so much about scoring the point at that point as just putting the team off balance and trying to score the next time you get the ball. So those are just a few thoughts and ideas and tips and stuff for outside hitters. If you have any questions, go ahead and email me. You can find my email at mylittleathlete.biz/outsides. That's where I'll put this episode and all of its content. You can also go to Instagram at volleyball_challenge and send me a DM, and I will be happy to get back to you and answer your question if I have the answer. So thanks for sticking with me today. I really appreciate it. Every time that you download the podcast, or you watch it on YouTube, or even you just visit my website, I get the stats on that, and it really helps my business. So thank you very much for consuming the content, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.